Hello and welcome back to On Location here. Today I'm at Ludlow Falls, and this is my second visit actually. I went here about a year ago now, and originally I wasn't actually going to film an on location video for the series here at this location, simply because it's very, very small, and at the time, at least when I first went here, it felt like I accomplished all I can really do with the location, that is. So there's really not too much out here. It's just well, there is, but it's just not enough to warrant video, at least what I thought at the time. But now that I'm back, I really think a proper video will do this place justice, especially since it's a pretty well-known place, I think, here in this particular spot in Southwest Ohio here. There's actually a waterfall, and that is the main attraction. Really, it's like a roadside attraction right underneath the State Route Bridge. They can find it at. And so it's a pretty massive waterfall, at least for Ohio standards. And yeah, so I photographed it, like I said, a year ago under some gorgeous overcast light. It was the middle of May, I believe, and it was just very, very cold, and it was very unseasonably cold. But there's no one else out, and I think there's actually some pitter patter of rain for that particular morning I came out here. So yeah, like I said, now I took that big break and I'm finally back, and I'm ready to try out some late summer photographs here, and just to see how the greenery affects the landscape in the surrounding area, along with the waterfall, of course. So for here in August, it's very, very it's a lot lessened, I guess, over time, all that water. There's still quite a big flow on both ends of it, but it's not spread across the entire rock face there, unfortunately. So I don't know about doing a proper like a postcard worthy shot, as I call them, of the falls themselves, but like I said, that's the main attraction here. But I feel like today, at least for the 1 hour I have of daylight here, I'm going to take advantage of the golden hour and incorporate that into the surrounding landscape as well. And not only that, but really just I'm thinking about now with this nice creek that it outflows from, as the Ludlow Falls is all the way up there, is that I think I want to try some images of just the creek itself. I did a few of them earlier, particularly in the vertical orientation, with the centrally placed, actually in the foreground was the creek itself and the heaviest flows. So I managed to get on these big rocks that are below me here, find that one was nice and stable, set up my camera, my tripod, my 16-35 f4 wide angle lens, and I did some 16mm, just very, very wide encompassing images I took of the waterfall itself, with a circular polarizer filter attached to the lens as well. And so I think those look pretty nice. It's nice to incorporate that foreground detail, a strong foreground element. It's really essential to most landscape images, and I feel like it's going to really work out in this case. And then in the background you get some golden hour light right above Ludlow Falls, and of course the namesake waterfall that is attached to it in the image there. And I only include one portion of it since it is vertical, but just that elongated perspective, that orientation of the image, I feel like it's really going to help out, and it'll make the entire scene just feel very, very stretched out, but like in a good way, of course. So anyways, I took a handful of shots of that early on, but I didn't really film anything of me speaking down there because it's very, very loud with all the flowing water. Now that I've pushed myself way back here to the back side of this miniature park, now I'm of course talking now. So yeah, so I think with that being said, yeah, I'm just going to take a quick wander here. Like I said, it's a very, very short trip. There isn't too much to say about the location. It's very, very well known, at least in the summertime, or the warmer times of the year, that is, for people to dive right off the waterfall. But people recommend you don't do that as well, because a lot of people have drowned here, unfortunately, because of it. And it's just not really a good place to do that, I think, mainly because I've heard, at least with the history of this surrounding area, is that there's lots of shipwreckage and just metal and rusty old stuff that's just situated at the bottom of the mouth, the pool of the falls. And so when people dive right in, if they're wearing like swim trunks or shorts or something, a lot of times if they hit the bottom and the surface floor of the water, then they will get caught on or latched on to some of that metal and get stuck, and that way they just unfortunately drown. So and plus I can't swim, so I'm not even here to do that anyways. As nice as that sounds right now, just because I'm just sweating to death out here, and it's very, very humid, very high heat index, but like I said, I'm just here for taking some images, I guess, some long exposure. I wouldn't really recommend that people go here to dive. It happens a lot, and actually there's a handful of people up here once I arrived at the location that were doing just that. But it's their choice, I guess. I mean, I don't agree with it. I could snitch, but it's not worth it. And honestly, I'm rather more focused on using this golden hour light, as it's beautifully bathing the top of the tree lines now in the canopy, and make some images here. So I think with all that being said, like I said, there's not too much else at the location. It's very, very small, and it's honestly barely even a park at that, just because there's no proper trails or footpaths. There's mainly just some stone concrete steps that lead you down to the falls, and they're very, very tricky at best. They're not really handicap accessible, and you really have to watch your footing. But luckily, as long as you wear good traction footwear, or like hiking boots or something that just has a good grip, you should be able to, as long as you can negotiate the obstacles, make it down all the way to the mouth of the waterfalls, which, that's really where the perspective really, opens your eyes to more photographic possibilities, of course, than just viewing it from the side or the top of it. So, all right, so I think with all of that being said, I'm going to keep walking along here. It's not too far out, but I'm going to just see how far I can go out here, maybe to all these rocks right over here, and maybe turn around. But this is actually a fork into the creek here. I'm not too sure what creek it is, quite frankly, but it wraps around here, and you can take the rocks and stones that way, or the way I came, which was actually along this way. So, like I said, it's pretty nice. But yeah, just this beautiful waterfall. It's breathtaking, and it's just right along this very rural village, a small town in Ohio, which is the same name, Ludlow Falls. And so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and keep going along here, and see what kind of images I can take, and hopefully I get something good that I can really talk and explain my process for taking the images, of course. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm really deep inside this. It's almost like a gorge, honestly, with just these high cliff faces that I really wish I could get up top to, but it looks like difficult, to rock climb or whatever. But I'm situated in this very deep shadowed portion of the creek, right by the tree line over here. And golden hour light's way out of way now, at least from this position currently. None of it's going to really show up in any potential images, unless if I point straight up here maybe. But right now I'm taking focus on this creek right over here, just some babbling brooks, as you can see, just lots of stones, and just really, really shallow creek. I didn't bring wading boots for me for this location, for the trip out here, so I'm just gonna keep hopping stones and try to get to a place where I can safely take any images potentially. But I think for these images, I don't know, there's a lot to work with, and like I said, since I already did the namesake waterfall already previously, I'm not too interested in doing just that again and retreading the same compositions, unless if I feel like it might improve upon them, of course. So for now, I feel like I'm just going to focus on the creek and do something that's a little more against the grain, something that's maybe people don't really go here for to appreciate quite as much. So I'm just going to go down here and probably try some images right here and just see how they'll look. Shallow creeks can really, they're not really the most eye-catching, I guess, long exposure images to take, but they can still be very beautiful in their own right. And then it's pretty cool because right when the rocks end over here is where all the water and everything just settles and levels out. And then you can see just all the way over here is that it's just really, really nicely gentle, I guess, flowing water as it just goes downstream, of course. And then that's nice because honestly, you get all these different tree reflections as well, as you can see. Just all the trees just really nicely balanced there. But obviously the water's still moving, so it might create more of a ripply effect, which honestly might look pretty cool from an abstract perspective. So that's something to really keep in mind here. But like I said, I'm going to take probably a couple shots of this, and I may zoom in even further, maybe even with a telephoto, not just the wide angle, and maybe try some of the reflections here and see how those look. So got less than an hour of daylight, probably like 40 minutes or so now, and so I'm just going to enjoy my time here before it gets too dark. And then, yeah, we'll just go from there. So we'll go ahead and take some images here, and talk through settings in a bit. All right, I did just what I was just explaining there. So I took some of the creek here, really shallow creek bed, and then also just the still flowing water as it moves down the creek as well. So I got several different angles here as well. But like I said, it's deeply shadowed here in the middle of the creek and woodland. So if I tried to get a even exposure based on what the camera would dictate with its built-in meter and metering system, that would just mean that everything's very, very dark as it tries to compensate for that bright sky ahead or above the landscape and the tree line here. So therefore I did some just bracketed shots, some HDR images, but nothing too extreme. I just simply exposed for the sky detail. However much was in it doesn't really matter. And then for the most of the image in the, that really took up most of the frame, was just the tree line and all that stuff. So took some images of that as well. And yeah, I mean, they worked out pretty well, I guess. It's nice greenery, some lush greenery, and plus with that polarizer filter means that it's going to be deep in those colors, as well as make the water much more shallower looking, which I really like a lot more than any kind of glare on the water, of course. So they turned out pretty well. I was doing about 2 seconds f11 throughout, and ISO 100 as well. So doing all of that in combination, and then getting the shutter speed all the way up to 1/6 of a second. Sometimes I was doing about 2.5 seconds. 2 seconds was the main one, I would say. And that's pretty much it though. 1/5 of a second. Yeah, like I said, 1/4 of a second. So just lots of different, shutter combinations, I guess, with each bracket, each exposure. That's the main part of the exposure triangle that I really aim for whenever I'm doing any kind of bracketed shots. All right, everyone, that's going to conclude today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Albeit pretty short and brief video. I didn't really get much time to speak, simply because it's just gotten dark enough, and now that waterfall is deeply in shadow, and I also just taken enough compositions, I think, to satisfy the video and the trip here today. So overall, I got some different compositions, which is really nice. Stuff that's very experimental, I guess, for at least this kind of waterfall. Just trying out some different things, and simply having fun and being creative with it, of course, and also making images that are different from versus my first trip here to Ludlow Falls. But overall, it worked out pretty well, and I hope you enjoy the slideshow here at the end of the video, and just seeing the scenic views of the waterfall itself, of course. So I think with that being said, we're going to conclude it here. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. This has been Ludlow Falls. Until next time, make sure to get out here. Thank you.